Hello and welcome back to Throttle Up. Now, today we are going to look at a car which has not just changed the way Indians look at mobility, but was responsible for making many Indians realize their dream of owning their very first car. Yes, this is the newest version of the Maruti Suzuki Alto K10. Now, before I go ahead with the review, I want to thank the amazing staff and the managers at Tricity Autos Maruti Suzuki Arena, situated on Patiala Zirakpur Highway, for hosting me and providing me the access to review these cars. If you want to check out any of the Maruti cars, I would definitely recommend you to this showroom because the cars are in impeccable condition. The staff is very courteous and will guide you through all the information and the offers which Maruti Suzuki has to offer for any of these cars. I've included their contact details, their location, and their website URL as well in the description of this video. So do check them out. Now, going back to the review of the newly launched Alto K10. The Alto K10 is available in 4 variants, namely Standard, LXI, VXI, and the VXI Plus. And you get one engine option, which is 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine for all the 4 variants. But you do get the automatic transmission option as well for the VXI and VXI Plus. The Standard and the LXI, however, are only available in a manual option. The one we have today is the fully loaded topmost VXI Plus in a manual transmission. The Alto K10 shares its engine with the Celerio and the Espresso since they come with the same 1 litre 3-cylinder engine. Also, Maruti is claiming a fuel efficiency of almost 24 to 25 kilometers per litre for both manual and automatic transmissions, which is really nice obviously. Now you get the simple key which has 2 buttons to lock and unlock your car, so nothing extraordinary about it, but still you get the center locking feature and the 2 buttons on the key itself so as to remotely operate your car. Now onto the engine. As I mentioned, this 3-cylinder 1 litre petrol engine produces 67 horsepower and a torque of 89 Newton meters. And as for the transmission, it is mated to a 5-speed manual transmission gearbox. Now the engine setup looks neat and there is a bit of usage of plastic as well. However, there is no insulation on the hood and it's of a decent weight, not too heavy, not too light, but yes, there is no insulation. Now looking at the front profile, the first thing you notice that Maruti has done away with 2 grille setups for this Alto K10 and have given just one grille which has this hexagonal plastic design. It's a very different take on the nose because we are used to seeing one grille at top and one grille at the bottom. Now there's skid plate which is finished in body color and has a lot of ventilation at the bottom and as for that big grille itself. Now coming to the headlight, this is a proper halogen setup. You get 2 lamps, one for the parking light and one for the main lamp in the main unit, and a turn indicator which you can see as the orange bulb. So this is the headlamp and that's the turn indicator. This is how it looks like when it's lit up. So you can see both the lamps are illuminated when we switch on the headlamp. Now the turn indicators are not turned on right now, but it's a very simple halogen setup, so nothing out of the blue as such, and it's exactly what you would expect in an Alto. Now there's no fog lamps on offer even in the VXI Plus variant as well. Now let's move to the side profile. The length of the Alto K10 is 3530 mm, whereas the wheelbase is 2380 mm. Also the ground clearance is 160 mm, which is nice for a car of this segment. Now if you look at the overall design, it resembles to that of the Alto 800 which is currently available in the market. As for the Alto K10, the previous one looked a bit sharper and had more cuts. This feels more rounder and curvy. The previous K10 design seemed more longer, whereas this one looks wider but not that long as the previous K10 used to look like, but just my personal opinion. The door handles are in body color, even the B pillar is in body color, so there's no chrome or black usage. Antenna is at the front, no shark fin antenna, and there's this different treatment on the roof. The fuel lid is on the left of the car. The ORVMs are not finished in body color and just in matte black, which is kind of weird. The indicators are on the fender. This is not an alloy, this is a steel wheel which is a 145/80R13 which come equipped with the wheel cover and they look pleasant. They are not polarizing, they are not very odd looking, and that pretty much works in the Alto K10's design language. This is the rear of the car and I have to say that this somehow resembles the previous generations but also adds freshness thanks to the redesigned tail lamps. Now you get Suzuki badging right in the center with Alto K10 badging on the left. There's no variant badging, but there is a keyhole to open your boot which is right below the Suzuki logo. Now we'll open the boot first. Now there are two options to open your boot. One is through the key itself, just like I did, and one is through the lever which is placed below the driver's side seat. The boot has a parcel tray which is exclusive to the VXI Plus variant. Now there is no halogen lamp on either sides and there is no space or any hook of sorts, but still a adequately sized and shaped boot. Now coming to the fifth wheel of the car, it is obviously not an alloy since there is no alloy on offer in any of the wheels on this car. It's the same size, however, it's a 13-incher wheel. As for the overall boot size, it's a 214 liters space, but the loading lip is kind of on the higher side, so that might create some inconvenience. Now closing the boot of the car and coming back to discussing the rear profile, as I already mentioned, the design is not polarizing and it's exactly what you would expect in an Alto. Suzuki badging, Alto K10 badging, and the keyhole, just like I previously mentioned as well. You also get rear parking sensors in this variant of the car, so that's really nice, and two lamps to illuminate the number plate also. The exhaust is on the right side below, and there is no fake exhaust treatment on either sides of the bumper, so that's nice. Now tail lamp is an out and out halogen unit with the brake light on the bottom, indicator on the top, and reverse light on the right. And this is how it looks like when it's lit up. So you can see it's a proper halogen setup with no usage of LED whatsoever, but it still looks neat and you can distinguish all the lights from each other, so that's nice. There's no rear wiper on offer and there's no defogger as well. The stop lamp is on the top, which is kind of on the smaller side. Now moving to the back seat of the car and opening the doors, I realized that these are still light but not too light, so decent weight, so to say. Now this is an all plastic door pad. There is no use of fabric and leather whatsoever, but we can't expect it honestly because it's an entry level car. Hard plastic at the bottom as well of that grab handle, and that's the speaker mesh, which is really cool. Now you do not get any powered adjustability for the windows, which is kind of a disappointment since this is the topmost variant, and even though it gets the touchscreen, it does not get two power windows at the back, so that's sort of wrong. Now as for the seat, the recline angle is sort of upright, but we'll come to that in a bit. Now the first thing that I notice while seated inside is that the legroom is genuinely nice. Even though the front seats are adjusted according to a person of a decent height, there is absolutely no shortage of knee room or legroom. As for the thigh support, it's built on the lesser side, but since this is an entry level car, I'm going to let it go. Although I still believe they could have increased it by a bit, even though it meant a sacrifice in that legroom. The headrests are not adjustable. The headroom is a lot, but there is no headrest for the middle passenger. There is no center armrest as well. Now this is how the dashboard looks like. There is a touchscreen and there are controls on the steering wheel. The overall look of the dashboard is genuinely great and much better than what I expected from a car at this price point. Now there are no rear AC vents or any USB or Type-C sockets, but you do get some space to keep your stuff. There is no magazine holder on either sides of the front seats. Now the grab handles in this car are fixed, so there is no pull function or you do not get any coat hangers as such. The only cabin lamp offered is at the front, so there is no cabin lamp in the center of that roof lining. There is this hump of sorts, however, at just the center of that roof lining on the top. Now that was for the back seat. A decent space to be in, but I would have appreciated a bit more thigh support on that bench. The recline angle is decent enough and the knee room is a pleasant surprise, so that's great. Now coming to the front doors and the front seats, a very similar treatment to what we saw on the back doors also. All plastics used on that door pad and there is absolutely no usage of fabric or leather. The grab handle is right at the center. There's some space to keep your stuff, very thin, but there's a proper space to keep a 1 liter bottle, so that's really nice. The door handle is finished in silver and there's manual adjustability offered for the ORVM, so there's no electric or powered adjustment. The driver side seat is adjustable only for the backrest. There's no height adjust on offer for the driver side, and you can obviously adjust it for the distance between the pedals and the seat, but the height adjust is not there. Now as for the pedals, since this is a manual, you get 3 pedals and there's no dead pedal on offer, but there's some space to keep your foot right beside that clutch. Headlight leveler at the bottom, and there are 5 dummy buttons, but there's no button on offer. The keyhole is exactly where it's supposed to be at a very conventional location, but there's no engine start stop button functionality available in the Alto. Now this is the instrument cluster and the steering wheel which greets you. The steering wheel, it's finished in plastic. There's no leather wrap on that steering wheel, but we'll come to the steering wheel in just a bit. Before that, let's talk about the instrument cluster. This is an all digital unit. There's no analog dial whatsoever. unlike what was offered in the previous Altos, which I really liked because it was a speedometer right in the center, which looked neat and nice. This digital speedometer reminds me a lot of the Maruti Espresso, where the entire instrument cluster is placed at the center of the dashboard. But then again, this is placed right in front of the steering wheel, so at least I can't complain about that. Now, this right knob is to reset your trips, to look at the odometer, the average, and all of that. The fuel gauge is placed at the left of that screen. The speedometer is at the top, and all the indicators are on the left and the right side on the instrument cluster. Now, for the steering wheel, this is finished in plastic. The infotainment controls are on the left. There is no control on the right side of the steering wheel. The phone controls are on the left bottom side. There's this chrome silver finish on that third spoke, which I really like. It gives a very premium appeal to that steering wheel. The left stalk is for the wipers and the right stalk is for the headlights, just like in any other Maruti. Now, the overall look of the dashboard, as you can see, has a certain amount of height. However, the good part is that that tallness aspect of the dashboard does not compromise the visibility of the driver in any way. Now, the standout highlight feature of the VXI Plus variant is this 7-inch Smart Play infotainment touchscreen, where you get the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto features as well. I am particularly not a fan of this user interface since Maruti Suzuki has been using this interface for God knows how long. But I have to give it to Maruti Suzuki for introducing an infotainment system in the first place in an Alto. Now you get touch sensitive buttons to control the power, the volume, the settings, and going back to the home page of that infotainment. Now system settings can be controlled through here, and the touch is responsive, but it still feels laggy to some extent. However, what's most important is that it's very easy to use. You can look at this quick access hub by dragging from the top and look at the pair devices. This bottom strip has all the settings that you would need for the audio, the tuner settings, the balance fader, the bass treble settings, and the overall system settings it's a very easy to use. All the features that you would need to see are right there on the homepage itself. So in order to adjust the radio frequencies, in order to look at the time, it's not fancy, but it does the job really well, and there's nothing you can really complain about. You can also access the average mileage and the vehicle settings through the touchscreen itself at just a swipe. So that's really cool. Now, right below the touchscreen are the buttons for your power windows for the front two doors, and it's kind of odd seeing them placed here. Now, if you press at the top, they go up, and if you press at the bottom, they go down. The hazard indicator button is right on the center of those two buttons. All the finish is in hard plastic, there's no fabric or leather used. The VXI Plus gets a manual AC unit, which is really easy to use and understand. The AC button is right at the center, and this is a knob for controlling the temperature. The airflow knob is placed on the left, whereas the fan speed knob is on the right. Now, this is to control the ventilation for the outside in and all of that. It's still all finished in plastic. Now, below, I appreciate that they have given the lids to house these sockets very neatly. The right is for your USB and aux, and the left is for a 12-volt socket. And I like how they have given the lids to house those sockets very neatly. Now, there's a cubby hole right at the front with two cup holders, so there's good space to keep your stuff. There's no center console armrest, but there's some space at the back, just like I showed previously. Now, the glove box is adequately sized, but there's no halogen lamp or any cool function on offer. But it's still a very good space to keep your documents and some other random stuff if you want to. It also closes with a very reassuring click. As for the gear knob, it's all finished in black, but the plastic is really nice to touch and feel, and it's all finished in leather at the bottom of that. So I really like that finish on the gear knob. The manual handbrake is finished in all blacks. There's no uses of chrome or any silver garnish whatsoever. Coming to the sun visors, so there is no mirror on the co-driver side sun visor. And if they're not offering a mirror on the co-driver side, they definitely are not offering one mirror on the driver side. All in all, no vanity mirrors on offer. The IRVM misses out on day-night function, which is really a miss since they could have given a day-night function because that adds to the safety. There's the mic for your calling feature, and that's the cabin lamp, which is finished in halogen. That is the only cabin lamp that you get. There is a grab handle on the co-driver side, but there is no grab handle for the driver side. Now, as for the seats, there is no seatbelt adjustability on offer, but there is good amount of bolstering, and the width of the thigh support is also nice when it comes to the front two seats. So I really appreciate that. The cushioning still could have been a bit better, but it's nothing we can really complain about. The headrests, however, are fixed to the backrest of the seat and are not adjustable. Now, as for the materials and the overall look of the dashboard, I like how they have done the AC vents, the center two AC vents, which go very neatly with the dashboard design. Now, all hard plastics have been used, just like in every other bit of this car. Although, what is definitely appreciable is that all the plastics used feel very sturdy and nothing feels cheap. So, the dashboard is actually a big thumbs up from my side because as an entry level car, you are getting exactly everything that you would have expected or wanted with a touchscreen, a digital instrument cluster, infotainment controls on the steering wheel, two airbags as standard, obviously, and four speakers. So there are no tweeters as such, but you do get a four speaker audio system setup. Now, in conclusion, the VXI Plus of the Alto K10 makes for a very good proposition as an entry level hatchback. It is competitively priced, has all the features that you would expect from a car at this price point, and obviously has the heritage of the most beloved brand, the Maruti Suzuki Alto. Now, whatever it does or it doesn't, it still beats all its competitors by far just because you cannot beat what Maruti Suzuki brings to the table when it comes to fuel efficiency, the reliability, or even the overall after sales experience. As for the competition it faces, the Renault Kwid, the Datsun Redigo does not even come close, just in terms of the aspects that I mentioned 2 seconds ago. As for Hyundai, Hyundai does provide a very good after sales experience, but in terms of competition, it has no competition since they have discontinued the Eon and even the Santro, and the i10 is expensive. In the Maruti itself, they actually have two competitors, namely the Espresso and the Celerio. Now, the Maruti tries to position the Espresso as a very mini SUV, and Alto is an out and out hatchback. So, that is one difference, and that would particularly depend on the customer as to what they're looking for. And for the Celerio is expensive than the Alto. The base variant of the Celerio costs as much as this VXI Plus of the Alto. So, that is really up to you as to whether you want to upgrade to the base variant of a relatively bigger car or stick to the topmost variant of the Alto. As for the best recommended variant in the Alto itself, I would say that the VX5 Plus, what it essentially brings to the table is the touchscreen infotainment system and the related audio mounted controls on the steering wheel, four speaker setup, and 2-3 features here and there like remote locking, rear parcel tray, and interior silver garnishes. That's about it. Now the difference between the VXI and the VXI Plus is around 34 to 35,000 ex showroom. Now that premium feels completely justified if you look at it from a perspective of someone who's buying a car for the first time and does not want to hand over their beloved car to some stranger in the aftermarket who will just open up the dashboard, the door pads, and the wiring to install an infotainment system. And infotainment is such a feature that you can't live without. Everyone wants a touchscreen at the dashboard, and it's just a hygiene factor nowadays. So it's better to spend the extra premium and get an inbuilt touchscreen from the showroom itself, so you can just drive the car from the showroom to your home in peace while not having the risk or the fear of someone tampering your beloved car which you bought with your hard-earned money. So that was the recommendation from my side, and that was for the review of the newly launched Alto K10 VXI Plus variant. Do let us know in the comments what you think about this car and whether would you consider if you're buying a car for the first time or as a second car just to drive around in the city. Let us know in the comments if there's any other competitor brand or any car which you would consider apart from this K10. Subscribe to our channel for more such car reviews. Like our video if you appreciated our content and also to help the algorithm a little bit, and keep watching Throttle Up.